Today we're comparing two lenses, the Panasonic Lumix 12-60mm f3.5 to 5.6 and the Panasonic Leica 12-60mm f2.8 to 4.0. Is the Panasonic Leica 12-60 worth the upgrade and the extra coin? Well, stick around, because after the intro, we're going to find out. If you're new to the channel, what's up? I'm S.420, creative director at Passion Video Productions. On this channel, I post tutorials, tips, reviews, and behind-the-scenes segments on videography and editing in Filmora for beginners. If that's something that you're into, hit that subscribe button right now to be notified whenever I post new content. Before we start, I wanted to give a huge shout out to Joel Maldonado. Forgive me, Joel, if I pronounced your last name wrong. Joel recently posted a comment on one of my videos saying, "I've been doing research on this camera all night. You surely sold me on this camera. I had the G85 in the cart with the kit lens, 25mm f1.7 and the 45 to 150mm f4.0 as well. I believe it's going to be worth a solid grand. You also get a sub. Do some follow up on lenses too. Thanks for the video." Well, you're welcome, Joel, and I wanted to thank you for subscribing and taking the time to make that comment, which inspired me to create this video for you. I hope you enjoy it, pal. Alright, let's get started. The Lumix 12-60 and the Leica 12-60 can be purchased separately for around $498 US for the Lumix and around $898 US for the Leica, but they're most commonly sold as kit lenses with the Panasonic G-series cameras. I got my Panasonic Leica 12-60 in 2019 as an upgraded kit lens with my GH5, and the Panasonic Lumix 12-60 I got as a regular kit lens in June of 2020 when I purchased my G85. In this video, we'll be touching on the similarities and differences, discussing the pros and the cons, and viewing some examples of footage I captured using the two lenses on the GH5. With the GH5 and the G85's 2x crop factor, the Lumix and the Leica 12-60mm both have the equivalent of a 24 to 120mm on a full frame camera. They have very sharp images and are able to capture fine details, but there are some variations in performance and quality. Before we go over these differences, let's start with the similarities and the first con of the two lenses, which is that they both have variable apertures. This means that the more we zoom in on these lenses, the more that the aperture blades close down and they allow in less light. This is not really a problem if we're working outdoors in daylight or if we have good lighting, but it can become a problem in low light conditions, thus causing us to increase our ISO past 1600, which can in turn produce noise into the picture. Both come with plastic lens hoods that help to stop sun flares and also help to prevent stuff like snow and other things from hitting the glass, which is another pro. The next pro and similarity for both lenses is that they have OIS, optical image stabilization. Combine this with the GH5 and the G85's internal stabilization, and we get what they call dual IS, or dual image stabilization, which is a feature that helps to smooth out camera jitters, and it allows us to capture quality shots without the need of a gimbal or a slider. Another similarity that both these lenses share is that they're weather sealed against water and dust. This extra protection is a feature that gives the user an added peace of mind, knowing that their lenses are safe whenever they're out and exposed to these elements. The Leica 12-60 does have one advantage over the Lumix lens in this area, and that is that it's also freeze-proof up to -10 degrees, which is another pro for the Leica. If you're getting value out of this video, I ask that you hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. Before we do get into the differences, there's two more similarities for these lenses I want to cover, which also happen to be cons. Both the Lumix and the Leica have what they call a non-linear focus by wire system, which is basically a digital form of focusing as opposed to analog, and it's not the most reliable for repeated accuracy. Also, because this is a form of digital focusing, we can only pull focus when the camera is powered on. Now we're going to talk about where these two lenses differ. The first difference, which is a pro for the Leica lens, has to deal with the aperture. It has 9 rounded aperture blades compared to only 7 on the Lumix 12-60. Another difference that we're getting with the Panasonic Leica that we don't get with the Lumix 12-60 is we have the option to switch it from autofocus to manual focus. As well, we can power on and off the optical image stabilization. So this is another pro for the Panasonic Leica. With the Panasonic Leica 12-60, we get an extra 2/3 of an f-stop at 2.8. This extra 2/3 of a stop of light can really help in low light conditions. As well, the 2 extra aperture blades help to achieve some nice bokeh with this lens in certain instances. To achieve the bokeh look with this lens, we're going to want to have our lens zoomed in somewhere between the 40 to 60mm range and have our subject as close to the lens as possible while still composed and in frame, and this should help to make the background blurred out with bokeh. The next difference, which is another pro for the Leica, is the build quality. A majority of the lens is made of aluminum with a couple plastic elements. It's sturdy, it's solid, and it has a nice feel to it in the hand. The zoom and the focus rings rotate incredibly smooth, and they have a great feel to them as well. This is not the case for the Lumix 12-60, which is mostly made out of plastic with minimal aluminum. The zoom ring's not smooth and consistent when compared to the Leica 12-60. Being that the Lumix is made of mostly plastic, it also has more chances to break or to be damaged if we accidentally drop it, which makes this a huge con for the Lumix 12-60. I'm now going to play some footage that I captured with these lenses on the GH5, and you can see for yourself the quality images that these lenses are able to produce. As you can see, both are able to obtain some great images despite only being kit lenses. They do a great job of capturing color and contrast, and the images stay sharp with details even towards the outer edges. I think the Lumix 12-60 f3.5 to 5.6 is a great kit lens as far as kit lenses go. It's able to produce some quality images for an affordable price. The 12-60mm range on this lens makes it very versatile. Minus the higher aperture of 3.5 to 5.6 and the plastic build, the stiffness of the zoom and the focus rings, this lens is a very adequate option for someone that's new to video or photography. When it comes to the Panasonic Leica, I do believe it is worth the extra coin for the upgrade in comparison to the Lumix 12-60. The Leica 12-60 has a more durable build, it's got a wider aperture, smoother zoom and focus rings, it's weather sealed from water, dust, and it's freeze proof up to -10 degrees, plus it also has the added sharpness of the Leica glass. So in my opinion, these features do make the Panasonic Leica 12-60 f2.8 to 4.0 worth the upgrade. Alright my passionate family, it's going to wrap it up for the video today. But before I go, I want to know what you guys think. Tell me in the comments if you feel the Leica is worth the upgrade or not. Do you own a Panasonic Leica 12-60mm f2.8 to 4.0 or a Lumix 12-60mm f3.5 to 5.6? If so, let me know in the comments. I want to hear what you guys have to say about these lenses. By the way guys, I just recently posted a tutorial on a budget 3-point lighting setup, as well as a video on the G85 and if it's worth it still in 2021. You can check out these videos by clicking on one of these boxes here, and I'll see you guys over there. Alright, I'm out.